This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two mics, and it is that time of the week when it's Ask Porky, of course, and this is when Mr. Parry gets to be his real self, and he gets to help many, many people.
Indeed.
Some of whom have got problems medically, some of whom have got problems romantically, some of whom are asking for career
mission
advice.
in life.
And I know you've said it many times that you're here to help. So we've got, as usual, a whole host of questions that people have sent in by Twitter, mostly at the two mics. And so I'm going to start off, because we've always got quite a few to get through, and apologies if we don't get through all of them, but starting off, funnily enough, with a golf-related one from Frazzle, who says, Mike, the US Open golf starts tomorrow. Got any no-hopers in mind that I could stick a bet on?
I don't go for no-hopers, to be honest, because no-hopers don't inspire the people of the world who are the mainstay of the world. Those are the winners. Those are the shakers and movers, the goers, the people who don't just stand around thinking, they actually do things. So no-hopers and I don't get on together.
But long odds sometimes is the best way to bet on
I don't know any no-hopers. I don't want to know anything about no-hopers. And if a no-hoper gets lucky, then the no-hoper becomes a winner, in which case they're admitted to the Porky fan club, but not until then.
Now, I've had a quick look at some of the odds for this, and I don't want to elongate it too long, but I found somebody that you might like to put a bet on.
Okay.
And he's certainly not a no-hoper, I wouldn't say that, but his odds are very good. Some bookies have got him at 750 to 1. Others have got him at 1,000 to 1. Do you know what his name is?
No.
John Parry.
John Parry.
John Parry. He's from Harrogate.
Yeah.
He's an English golfer. He plays on the European Tour.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not suggesting he's going to win the US Open, but if you were into spread betting or anything like that, 1,000 to 1. Pretty good odds.
Well, good luck to John Parry.
Worth a go, eh?
Next question, please.
Now, here's one from Becky in New Zealand. Mike, the men I date are intimidated by my better job and car.
Right.
Should I give up medicine and become a secretary instead? #FullSex.
No, not at all. You should continue with the pursuit of your career. You're clearly very successful. That's a great thing. We like successful people in life. We like successful people because successful people are leaders. We need leaders of men and women in this world to show us how to do it. You keep doing it. And if you come across a man who is so thick-headed and so macho that he is intimidated by your success, then he's not the man for you. You wait until you find a man who can match your aspirations, your desires and your ambitions and your success.
Now, let's try one on the financial front. Right. This is from Dorian. Could Porky please expertly explain why the Zimbabwe dollar has collapsed and why they have billion-dollar notes?
Yeah, the Zimbabwe dollars collapsed because Rhodesia, as it was, which was renamed Zimbabwe, obviously, Rhodesia named because of Cecil Rhodes, who was the pioneer from Great Britain who went out there and turned it into a proper country and built big buildings in the capital, which was called Rhodes. No, it wasn't. That was Rhodes is a Greek guy.
Rhodes is a Greek island.
Yeah, that's right. It's a Greek island. Yeah, it was called Salisbury, I think.
Salisbury, wasn't it?
The capital of Rhodesia.
Capital of Rhodesia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and
Zimbabwe now is called, the capital's now called Harare.
Harare, it's now called Harare, yeah. Do you mind? I'm answering this question, not you.
Well, I don't want to point out
anyway,
getting wrong.
It used to be known as the breadbasket of Africa because the plains of Rhodesia were so lush. The farming was so efficient that it could literally distribute food all around the massive continent of Africa. But the problem was, when Mr. Mugabe took over, he decided to take all the farms off mostly white farmers and give them to people he called the veterans. And these guys were allegedly people who had been involved in the war against oppression. Not sure where the oppression came from, neither does anybody else, but the farms were given to people who weren't farmers. The economy utterly collapsed. There is starvation in Rhodesia. There is mass poverty on a scale never before seen in any African country that used to be so wealthy, and that is why inflation, which sometimes increases by 30,000 points a day, is now so enormous that the value of anything in Rhodesia has completely... Zimbabwe these days has now completely collapsed.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm not sure anyone understood that one.
Of course it is.
Here's one from Adge.
Yeah.
Can Porky get a campaign going and win to get a blue tick on his Twitter account?
Well, it's underway, and we have experts inside the TalkSport Towers building here who are working on this day and night to get it sorted. It will be sorted, believe me. We don't believe in losing here at TalkSport. We are winners, and we will win this one.
How soon do you expect it to happen?
I expect it to happen before the end of this week.
Before the end of this week?
Yes.
Excellent. All right,
yes.
We'll look forward to that. Here's one from Craig. I've been challenged to eat a tablespoon of cinnamon, which is very easy. Does Porky have any tips?
The only tips I would say is don't do it. I'm surprised that I'm still alive because the shock of indulging in that particular exercise was, in fact, a mighty one. And I've been advised I must never do it again. However, it did provide a lot of people with a lot of laughs, and that's what I'm here for in this world, to entertain.
Now, this is one from somebody who calls himself Mike Parry Quotes. He says, I'm on a stag do in Amsterdam next weekend.
Yep.
How do I use rat-like cunning to avoid bladderation and excesses?
Well, you can't on these sort of things because all your mates will want to big themselves up as the best drinker of the lot. That's why I've never been on a stag night. That's why I will never go on a stag night. I do not think you've got to be in a situation where you've got to prove how much you are by how drunk you can get and how disgusting your behaviour can become.
You don't want to do a Jack Grealish, do you?
You certainly don't want to do a Jack Grealish. My advice to you would be to be a man and pull out of the stag night. Don't go. You don't need to go. What are you proving? You're proving that you can get drunk with your mates, and your mate is proving that he's so terrified of getting married, he needs one great big bender to be able to walk up the aisle and face the woman he's got to spend the rest of his life with.
Oh, calm down. All right, here's one from Phil, who says, your previous advice on how to get out of having a vasectomy didn't work. I had it done last Thursday. Any advice for my aching body?
Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. If it didn't work, you couldn't have had it done, or if you had it done, it failed. If I were you...
No, you told him how to avoid getting it done, but that didn't work, so he's now had it done.
OK, if you had it done, be very, very careful when you next get out of bed. A friend of mine, when I worked on the Chester Chronicle, a photographer, he had exactly the same thing. He didn't realise when he woke up from, the anaesthetic and all that they'd actually sewed his testicle bag to the tops of his legs. And when he needed to go to the loo, he threw the sheets back, leapt out of bed, and ripped the stitching between his scrotum and the top of his leg. It was very painful.
I bet it was.
So be careful.
Yeah, well, I think leaping out of bed would be generally the advice after having had major surgery. But now, for the first time, we don't normally do this. We've got a caller who's got a relationship problem, and he wants to ask Porky live. It's Paul, as a Newcastle fan from Tunbridge. Paul, what's your problem, please?
Hello, Mike. How you doing?
Yeah, all right. What's your problem for Porky?
I was with this girl for about 6 years.
Yes.
And I had a bit of a drinking problem.
Right.
Really loved the girl and everything.
Yeah.
And she had a couple of kids and everything. When I met her, like, the kids were 8 and 10.
Right.
They've grown up now. They've gone off to university.
Yeah.
And she wants to meet back up with me again.
Yes.
And I told her I was off the drink and everything.
Yeah, and is that true? Is that true, Paul? Are you off the drink?
Nope.
You're not off the drink?
No, I had a drink last night.
So you're
I had a drink.
Yeah.
I had a drink last night because I was a bit nervous about meeting her.
OK, so far we've established you're a drunken liar. Now, what other sort of qualities do you want to impress upon this woman?
No, but
it's a bit hard.
The thing is, I want to meet up with her tomorrow.
Yeah.
And give her the God's honest truth because I love the girl.
Do you want to give her name out, Paul?
Lisa.
No, don't.
No, she did give a name. Lisa.
Don't say her name.
Paul, you don't sound to me like you're up to it, mate. I think it's going to be a pointless exercise. You sound a bit sort of downbeat. You sound tired. You sound to me like the years of abuse in drink might have got to you. Your brain might be a bit rattled, or you might just be worn out. But if I were you, I'd give it up. It can be only misery in the future. Forget it.
Paul, I'm sorry that we didn't seem to be able to help you out from Porky's point of view there, but it sounds like he's not thinking this is a good idea. But if I were you,
not a good idea.
I would seek a second opinion just in case.
No, I wouldn't.
It might well be that somebody else has got a better idea.
No, some do-gooder will give you the wrong advice, Paul. Stick with me.
Now, here's one from Tony, who says, I'm colourblind and desperate to use Porky's shopping system. Can he help me out?
Yes, it's quite easy. All you've got to do is walk them down the aisles, and remember, if that day it's a red day, you buy your tomato ketchup, you buy your tomatoes, you buy your Persil, because that comes in a red box.
So it doesn't matter if you can't see that things are red, in other words.
What do you mean?
Well, he's colourblind.
No, he's not colourblind.
He just said he was colourblind.
What did he say? He's colourblind?
He said he was colourblind.
Ah, well, that's a different... That's a different...
But he can see tomatoes.
Yes, of course
he doesn't know they're red.
Look, you can see tomatoes, you can read the word Persil, you know what a bottle of tomato sauce looks like, because it's plastic and you squeeze it and stuff shoots out, and you won't have a problem. You won't have a problem at all.
All right. I'm not sure if that one goes. The girl Wonder has sent this one in, and I suspect, even though she told me earlier it was for somebody else, I think she's asking for herself. What would it take to become the elusive first Mrs. Parry?
Well, I'm afraid that I reckon the day of the first Mrs. Parry may have come and gone.
Really?
Because I think life has now moved into a new dimension. There are other things to do. I think maybe you'll find that, time has moved on a little bit. When I last saw a lady who was right at the top of the FMP list, used to be Liz McDonald, barmaid and owner of the...
Fictitious character in Coronation Street.
Fictitious character in Coronation Street, owner of the Rover's Return. And I was looking at Liz only recently and thinking... maybe the opportunity has come and gone. I'm afraid that's all I can say about that.
Right, so you're not in the market anymore, is it?
Well, I'm not saying I'm in the market. You could be tempted in exceptional circumstances, but it would have to be exceptional. I did see a woman in the last month, 6 weeks or so, who fitted the bill quite nicely.
Well, somebody just at random or somebody you met?
Somebody that came to one of our shows, actually.
Oh, really?
And, I just thought about it. But, I think the day's probably come and gone.
OK. Here's one from Damien. Slightly philosophical question for you. This one might fox you, I think.
Yeah.
If I took a photo of my shadow, would it still be considered a selfie?
No, that would not be considered a selfie because it does not have any defining image. It isn't just... In fact, what a shadow is shadow is absence of light. And where there is no light cast upon the world, there is only gloom and despair and no knowingness. So don't be fooled by shadow.
That's bad news then, isn't it, for people with shadows?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
I'm thinking of becoming a TV columnist, says Simon.
Right.
As an expert at this, can you give me any advice on how to do it?
Yes. My advice on being a TV columnist is to look at the television without the sound. And if you look at it without the sound, you can interpret the body language of the people in the drama that you're watching, or the documentary that you're watching, or the programme you're watching, with greater ease than if they're speaking. And by the way, what you probably don't know is that televisions are so big these days, the speakers which emit the sound have not grown in proportional size, and that's why there are so many complaints about actors mumbling these days. You need a proper sound system to hear it properly, so you don't need the sound at all.
So just switch it off.
Yes.
Excellent advice. And finally, this one from Trizzy. If there's a girl out there for me that I really want, should I pursue her and should I do all I can to get her?
Well, that depends on what your motive is for it. If your motive for it is pure love, then I would say that's a false emotion, because you can't live on love alone. However, if you feel you have a plan which will result in you pursuing a good and fruitful life, which may bear children and may lead you to become a family man and therefore a very useful and productive member of society, then you should. But for pure, just blind love, no.
OK, well, that's Ask Porky for this week. There'll be many, many more opportunities to send in more questions at the two mics and even call in, like our good friend there, the Newcastle fan did. I'm not sure he was particularly happy with the advice he got.
I think he was.
But never mind. I mean, you gave it to him straight. I have to say, I can't fault you on that.